Hello everybody, it's Duck07 with another zoo video. I think I just created the best Cascade Zoo list I have ever played in my life. This list is able to do most powerful things the Cascade Zoo has ever saw before, and has the incredible the biggest amount of multicolor spells I ever saw in a general Rokiric deck, which is definitely the way this deck should be built. So going to go through some basic deck ideas and how the deck started. So at first I got the idea to test new for MELIRA the Living Cure from the Pyrexial will be 1 with Scum Elementals. So I put 4 MELIRAs in the deck with the 6 Scam Elementals and with the help from smart people from Zoo Discord, Zoo community. I asked for them to we discuss the deck. I put my list. I talked with them what could be changed, stuff like that. I got a lot of suggestions, and along the way, by my play testing and talking through the build, I added 2 more solitudes, fifth MELIRA effect. So we did a split 3-2 Safi and MELIRA, and now we had 5 ways to scam the elementals and 8 elementals in the deck. So really good thing about MELIRA and Safi scamming the elementals. So we cast it as a creature. So it's a MELIRA is actually a 3/3 creature, so it can attack very good. It also just by accident all kills the poison decks, the venerated rot priest or infect, if that becomes popular. But that's not really important. Important is that this is a 3/3 creature, able to block Ragavan, able to attack, and at every moment you can pitch cast a Solitude from your hand instant speed and sack MELIRA to get it back on the field. So in a lot of situations, people will be interested in killing this MELIRA because they'll be afraid to play their creatures uh, while MELIRA is on the field. And you all this time you have the ability to scam the Solitude or Fury in, which can be definitely game winning thing at the moment. So people will be interested in do this, and when they do this, you can instant speed scam Solitude in the game, on the field, exile 1/2 creatures, whatever, and still have a 3/2 beater with the lifelink. It's really good. And of course, scamming Fury is even better in most situations, and a huge blowout. This is a huge thing for Cascade Zoo. This was in the past a very slow deck, not being able to catch up with faster opponents. But this deck. This has a very large amount of options available to it. So you still have of course territorial Kavu, best domain creature, to be played on a turn 2, which can be very aggressive by itself and hard for opponent to deal with. Of There is no Scion of Draco in this list. A Scion is colorless, not too exciting to play with the General Ferris Rakiric, not too exciting to top deck it when you have General on the field. You really want to maximize the amount of multicolor spells we play, and we already have the best monocolored spells we want to play here. So kind of that number of non-multicolor spells we can play is reached by playing these 12 spells. So all other spells really have you can play like 1, 2. Or other monocolor spells, but I think this list is now perfect as it is. Um, Renin 6 in this deck is a card that helps you hardcast your big mana spells like Bloodbraid Elf, Solitude, and Fury. Of course, scamming Solitude and Fury is great, but we also want to be able to hardcast these cards. And the deck is playing 23 lands, which is okay, but having Renin 6 in the deck just helps a lot for hard casting uh, elementals, and if actually in this variant, if you don't have a territorial cow on turn 2, basically Renin 6 is best thing you can play, unless you really need your removal like a Leyland Binding or something. So it's a really good addition to this list. It allows consistently casting elementals on the curve, if it's necessary, of course. So we play just 4 Leyland bindings. There are no bolts, no treble flames in this version. We are not that aggressive. We're also playing solitude, so giving opponent life. Treble flames is not worth it. And Lightning Helix is a better option than Bolt in this variant, obviously because of General Ferris Rokuric, but not just him. This deck really needs some way to gain life against some opponents like Burn and other aggressive creatures. Like it's really good killing the Spear with it, gaining 2 life, stuff like that. So it's a really a necessary addition. It's but all of that doesn't. It wasn't the final decision about playing Lightning Helix, but also we need a certain number of white and red cards in this deck to be able to play 4 Solitudes and 4 Furies, and Lightning Helix really helps with that. So it ups the white card count necessary to play the Solitude, and deck played like this has a perfect number of white pitchables and red pitchables, and it's working really good. Okay, so mana base in this version we are playing Indenta Triumph and Xander's Lounge. Indenta Triumph, and there are 2 things you have to know about this mana base. So Indenta Triumph and Xander Lounge, I decided to play this because with these 2 triumphs and their matching shocks, you're able to play both General Ferris Rokuric and Shardless Agent on turn 3, no matter what your third land is. But of course, Xander's Lounge, if you fetch Xander's Lounge on your turn 1 and you have hand consisting of Melira, Safis, and stuff like that, you won't be able to cast Melira and Safi. You have to be um you have to take care of that, and in those situations you need to fetch in data first, then go for uh, I don't know, maybe Sacred Foundry, and then complete your domain with the third land. So that's something you got to be careful of. If we played the Zagot Savai, I would be able to play Melira and Safi more easily on the curve, but I would have problems casting my Shardless and Ferris Rokirics on the curve, because in a lot of these situations it happened that I have both Agent and General Ferris Rokiric on the field, and I can't really uh, afford myself to shock for 3 and have Temple Garden as a third land to be able to play both. So I needed to go for basic, and then I was able to cast General Rokiric, but then not being able to cast Shadow's Agent the next turn, stuff like that. So really had a lot of problems, and I think uh, these spells are more important to be cast on curve than these spells. So I can live with not being able to cast Melira on turn 2, because I'll mostly want to cast these spells first. So Helix, Vran, Kavus can be cast with in that Vents or Xander Garden. So it's really complicated mana base. But in my experience, while brewing, I tried all kind of different mana bases, and this one performed the best. Also, I decided to, since I'm playing 3 Ren and 6, it's really pity not to play Boseiju in your deck, and um, also, additional reason is this is a domain deck, and really Boseiju really can be helpful if you're already playing 3 Wrenn and 6, because it helps you get rid of Blood Moon, obviously, and Leyline bindings, stuff like that. It's really useful. So we have one Boseiju in the main, another one on the sideboard. You never, when you bring in the one from the sideboard, you bring it against instead of spell, never instead of land, because you really want to have 22 lands that give you domain. Okay, so other than this, you can see some typical cards you see from Cascade list. Of course, there are 4 General Ferrous Rocurics, 4 Shardless Agents, just 3 Bloodbraid Elves are needed spot somewhere, and Bloodbraid Elf seen as easiest option to cut just one, but we really need these Cascaders to be able to have enough payoffs for playing our General Ferrous Rocuric. So once you have Rocuric on the field, Bloodbraid Elf and Shardless Agent are best possible plays you will have. And also, they guarantee gaining 2 tokens from General Rocuric. Because as you can see, all our spells with 2 and 3 mana converted mana cost are multicolor, so you can't cascade into not gaining the General Ferrous token unless you brought in something from the sideboard. Sorry, no, everything is multicolored on sideboard too, so there is no chance of you not getting. You're guaranteed of getting 2 General Ferrous kick if you're playing Shardless Agent or Bloodbraid Elf. That's a really important and good thing to do. So playing Tribe of Flames is a lot worse in this type of deck, because you're not getting a token, and it's not synergizing with Rocuric, and this deck is not fast enough to make Tribe of Flames matter, so Tribe of Flames is not good in a deck when you're playing Solitude. So, okay. So that's it. I said Cowls, of course, Brands, 2 Helixes. I told we playing this. 5 Scammers. So these cards are helping us scam our elementals early, and it's really a blast. Of course, scamming elementals is one of the strongest thing to do in Modern, and this deck already has a very good mid-range plan, and now we are also able to have a very good early game plan against aggro strategies, and we all know that these strategies are among the most common right now in Magic, in Modern. And on the sideboard, we have answers we need to win in some other matches, not leaning too much on the aggro. So we have Leyline of the Void. Leyline of the Void helps against scam, helps against graveyard strategies such as Dredge, and Force of Vigor. Force of Vigor is really good against Amulet Titan. It's one of the best cards to have in that matchup. Of course, it's good also in Hammer Time. It's good against the Scales. It's good against all affinity variants, all affinity possible decks. It's such a good card to have at this moment for Modern metagame. We have Hiritsugu. Hiritsugu, of course, is known as a number with General Ferrous Rocuric. Because it kills all our golem tokens, but it doesn't really matter because you're only playing, you're reading this card only in matchups where it will definitely hurt your opponent a lot more than you'll hurt yourself with it, and it's mostly just a game over in these matchups like Hammer Time when you cast Hiretsugu. I've never seen opponent really recover from Hiretsugu like Affinity, Affinity Scales, Hammer Time. These kind of decks really don't recover well from Hiretsugu, so there's a really good reason to board this in. In those matchup, we have on the sideboard 3 cards that help us battle the Blood Moon, and these are very strong. So Boseiju is the best one, of course. Just having Bran being able to fight multiple Blood Moons if drawn just one forest, and Bran and 6. We still have Leyland Binding, of course, in a deck, which also helps battle against Blood Moon. And in this variant, we have Cindervines. In my opinion, Cindervines is the best card you can play in Cascade Zoo deck that hates specifically Blood Moon, and it's very good in a Murktide matchup. It's not just you can just in most cases just gem this on turn 2 and be safe from Blood Moon for the rest of the game. Only way for them to remove it is playing engineered explosives on 2 and cracking them, so it's really difficult for them to get rid of this. And they first need to play the explosives, crack the explosives, then play the Blood Moon, and it makes my job playing this deck much easier. Also, they play a lot of non-creature spells. You know, when they start like iteration, then play consider, then consider into bolt, into heat. They will be, if you are able to stick one threat on the field, like a general or cavu, it will be, Cindervines will be a nightmare for them. They won't be able to play a lot of these spells. Every bubble is a one life, every bolt, if you succeed to hit them once or twice, this will be a real problem for them. And it showed, in my experience, as a really good card in that matchup. And now, when boarded all these cards, we have 8 main deck uh, removals for Blood Moon, which makes this deck really um, uh, really good against it, and also with just one. With the we can also just go for the basics, of course. If you're playing first, going for plane Xander on turn 1, and then Forest and Plains allow us to go Territorial Cavu on turn 2, then fetch Plains on turn 3, and have 2 most important basics on the field. When we have these basics, in this version, we can all cast almost our entire deck except for Solitude, Shardless, and but we can cast everything else, and it's mostly enough for this deck to win even without killing the moon. Okay, so on the sideboard, additional 3 cards. Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage is very good hate for those matchups that are usually a bad matchup for this deck. So it's very good against Living End. It's very good against all Cascade decks variants, really, except for Rhinos. Card is not good against Rhinos, but if I don't want it to be good against Rhinos because this deck already has a good Rhinos matchup. So we just need it against Glimpse and Living End, and it's also great against Amulet Titan. I just beat I beat 2 Amulet Titans while playing this deck, but just by sticking Meddling Mage on turn 2, naming Primeval Titan. Then later in the game, played the second on a Dryad. They didn't have Dismember. Even if they did, it would be very hard at that point for them to do anything because I had the solitudes and stuff. Like, so I just really want to prolong the game. I don't want to die on turn 3, turn 4. If I don't die here, I can then draw my elementals, which can then make me pretty safe against them combo killing. And that's it. Okay, so I just did a 5-0 trophy with this version, and this is, as I said, in my opinion, the best Cascade deck I have ever played in my life. The most powerful, definitely. It, uh, it won't be perfect fit for any metagame, maybe, but it feels very strong. It feels very strong, and I think power level of this variant is hugely more larger than other variants I tried before, and we are playing a deck that now has more consistency with the General Ferris Rokirik. Actually, General Ferris Rokirik in the variants I saw before was questionably good. People didn't play even Fury mostly, so no way to interact early with your opponent, just Boros Charms, Lightning Helixes, and Tribal Flames. It was like most people talked about the deck as the expensive burn deck. But this one is a lot different. It's more focused on General Ferris Kirk. It enables you very good interaction with the opponent before casting the Rokirik. So turn 2 playing Kavu will stonewall a lot of the creatures in the format unless they have some very good removal for it. Being able to play Ren, ping on the play, then ping the DRCs, the monkeys and stuff like that, just get a land in hand, can be very hard for opponents to deal with. Lightning Helix has additional removal, as I said, and of course, always there's option when playing on the draw, especially. We wanted one card to make that um, to give us advantage, and MELIRA and Saf is definitely it. So we are playing MELIRA, Saf, 5 of these scammers in the main deck, and when played on the draw, often your opponent will try to put as many pressure as they can on the field, like turn 1 Rago, and then they connect. It's even better if they connect, then they get extra mana to play one more creature, and then you just on the draw play the Safi and scam the Fury, scam the Solitude, completely demolish them. That is like a general plan. But also, General Ferris Rokirik is a very good card against these decks. So, Murktide deck actually doesn't have any solution to the Ferris Rokirik. If you actually resolve this 3 mana card, it's a game over unless they succeed to raise you somehow. But we have a lot of these free removals for their creatures, so it's not very easy for them. They have to raise you, but it's a really hard race, really, really hard. Every spell I play for the rest of the game almost even either kills their creature or makes a free 4/4 golem tokens, which is just huge, huge, huge thing. And also other decks also have trouble removing this. So, basically, all decks not playing Ren and 6 have huge trouble removing this. Um, Against Ren and 6, this card can still be good. Of course, we have solutions for Ren and 6. We can kill it, and sometimes we can just double spell when on 5 mana and stuff like that. It can be played around. A few of them can be boarded out, of course, when playing on the draw. But except for Ren and 6, this card is a really hard card to deal with in Modern right now, and a lot of decks have problems with it. So that's why it's good. And after scamming on turn 2 with our MELIRA and Safi, we lose a lot of stuff, a lot of cards from hand, and then just sticking General Ferris or Kirk next turn. It's incredibly huge. It's incredibly a good position to be in. Very good play, because then that means you just ticked 3/1 creature on the field, which makes free tokens for the rest of the game. By anything you play, it's just a very strong ability, obviously. Okay, so that's it. We are going to go through the matches from this 5-0 league. This is it. Okay, so a lot of the matches were pretty interesting. So okay, this was the burn matchup, as you can see here. MELIRA is awkward with this mana base, but it's, I think, in my opinion, it was more awkward to have General or Shardless stuck in your hand when on 3 lands, not being able to cast Shardless or General. So I was able to kill my opponent's Eidolon without losing life, and I was able to get a land from the cover loot to play the Shardless Agent, get another 2 creatures on the field, so a very good clock here, 10 damage for next turn. My opponent has the Searing Blaze, they also got pretty nice here. Okay, so I just play my Vran, ping them to face and hope they can do 6 damage, and they didn't. A lot of these times they have these spells that cost 2 or 3 mana, and fortunately they got a tap land. Probably that was the defining thing. They were not able to. They probably had 2 mana spells because you can see the spells they played. It was Searing Blaze, Boros Charm. So they probably had just more 2 mana burn spells, which was not good enough in this game 1. I think for this version, burn is one of the hardest matchups probably, but we are playing Helix in the main, of course, so it's not impossible, just a bit harder. And I played this land, keep this hand because I had 2 Helix and had the MELIRA ability to scam Fury on turn 2, so pretty good, obviously. And Fury was very good. I was able to kill both of their creatures, and in this situation, I just needed a second land now to play the Territorial Cow. I didn't get it. If I was able to play the cow here, the game would be over. There is no chance they were able to catch up. But no land for 1 turn meant I'm on a considerably lower life than I wanted to. Then I played the 2 of my helixes, but no cow on the field meant there is no pressure for my opponent. Still, I successfully was able to put my opponent down to 3 life, and I think they top decked for the win. They got land to go a Skullcrack and a Skewer, so they had exactly lethal. But yeah, if I just got the land turn before, it would be over sooner. But you see that this is a winnable matchup. Even on the draw, I was able to get very close to winning. And of course, the scam package helps a lot with winning. If you can scam Solitude, instant speed, end of their turn, and then gain 3 life, that's definitely the way you're going to win this matchup. Definitely want to just play my MELIRA. I don't know what my opponent, why did he do this, but they just played this badly. They went for the Kavu kill, but I had MELIRA on the field. Maybe they didn't know what MELIRA does. I don't know, but it didn't really matter. I had everything I need in my hand to win this quickly. Had the ability to scam Fury next turn if they play something dangerous. Also, ability to play the Meddling Mage. And next turn, another draw from Kavu to try to find the Helix. I had Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage was good in this situation. It enabled me to play this on the most dangerous spell they can have at this point, like 1 mana burn or deflecting. What is it called? Palm, something like that. Okay, but that was it. My opponent helped me win this. I think I didn't need the help, but yeah, the help is fine, obviously. Okay, so playing first here, I kept a decent hand, cow removal, Bloodbraided Elf. My opponent started with birds. I go for Territorial Cow here. Territorial Cow is the birds is not worth killing. Of course, the best play they can have here is Grist, But even if they have grist, they must kill their own birds, which is not like very exciting play for them. And I was able to top deck my Wren, which was very good. Finish the grist, hold the Leyland Binding. Pretty good. I had multiple choices here. This was just a second. I didn't play much with this deck, so I had a few questionable choices during this league. I didn't play this perfect, of course. I could have played better. This Helix should have gone to the face. I don't really care for this Young Wolf being 2/2 or 1/1. I should have gone face with this Helix. That was the first mistake. Still had a good hand, but as I said, some of these games I didn't play the best. Sometimes you just need more games with the deck to be able to play perfect. If I went for Helix face, I would be in a much better situation right now. My opponent would have a lot less of these abilities available to them, so they had Hapatra. Obviously, this was also a bad mistake. It was a good decision to attack. I wanted them to pay some life, but to pay some life, maybe go down to 3 and then play the Helix, or maybe just go to 4. Then I play Helix, and then Vren is my way out, and they can use the Yagmoth anymore, and a few of my tokens live. It wasn't that bad. It was just bad to attack with the general. It was a mistake. It was good to attack with the rest of the guys, but just not the general. I needed to leave the general behind. They just kind of killed it freely, and I would be able in this situation to go to have a Helix. So I get rid of the Blood Artist in response, so they can go infinite at the moment. But killing my own general meant I'm in a pretty unfavorable position, which wouldn't be the case if I was able to get the token from the Helix and now get the 2 tokens from the Elf. So kind of screwed myself up. If I had 3 more tokens in this moment, it would be a completely different game, and I would maybe have I would have a lot better chance of winning this because I already killed their artist, already killed their Hapatra, so they didn't have infinite. And in this situation, I would probably have very close to lethal, or even maybe I would have lethal just. But yeah, I kind of screwed this up, so lost the game. Unfortunately, I don't play any more Helixes in a deck, so that wasn't a top deck Helix wasn't an option. Top deck Helix wasn't an option, but they also didn't have much of these Yagmoth abilities left, so I kind of still had but sorry, they had a grist ability to kill the general with the grist, so that wasn't doing much, and they had a lot of the damage on the field, so it was immediate kill. They had exact damage with messenger. Okay, so that was game 1. I think a few of bad choices led to me losing this one. I could have maybe also won this, but it is what it is. It's among my first tries with the deck, so I still didn't play everything perfectly. Okay, in this situation, again, best to go with Kavu. Kavu enables me to go loot on turn 2. I find the land I really need. I did get it off the turn, so I really didn't need anything else. The hand was perfect. So in a lot of these situations, people can't assess that this is the perfect hand at this point, and I don't want to loot anything. So my opponent also done a mistake here. Like General Ferris Rokirik is a lot more dangerous here, and they really needed to go for the Rokirik kill. And now I had, you can see just how good is this. So it's disgusting actually. So I was able to shardless into MELIRA, get 2 tokens from the General Ferris Rokirik, then scam the Fury from my hand. To kill everything they have and still hold the Leyland binding in hand and attack for 10. It's pretty disgusting. It's like the best you can do in this matchup. I think Yagmoth is a very good matchup for this deck, having 4 Furies, 4 Solitudes, Leyland Bindings. Territorial Cow has a very good creature against them, and the ability to now have 5 ways to scam this early into play, kill out of their stuff. It's just very good. Okay, so playing on the draw, it's a bit trickier though, so not that easy, but I started with Cow. I still had the option to scam Fury at any time with MELIRA, but my opponent had Tosses, which is okay, because I still had my Cow. Cow is obviously a very strong card. Also in this matchup, my opponent always has to jump this, especially but they can infinitely jump this, and I always have ways to kill the Yagmoth, multiple ways to kill it if it's not. I had so many options here. I could play all of my spells, but I decided to. I decided to ping the blocker to be able to attack with both of my cows because my opponent was already very low on life. I should have maybe should have like Helix the young wolf in response to the Birds of Paradise putting counter on it. But I also wanted to kind of hold the Helix to just go face or finish off the Yagmoth on this exact same turn. So now my opponent was able to kill the run, but I had the Helix in hand, which I didn't play last turn. It ended up being very good because I top decked the binding, and I was able to finish the game on the next turn, so it was good. Also, my opponent had just 2 blockers, so any removal wins it, and that's it. It ended up really well, and that was the Yagmoth matchup. I think it's a very good matchup. We have all necessary cards necessary to dominate this matchup from the beginning to the end. And I think opponents will have a very hard time beating this scammed elementals. And the bonus is, of course, your Shardless agents and Bloodbraid Doves finding you your scam parts. So very often. Okay, so this was I didn't know what I was playing against. I saw the Sacred Foundry, Ragavan. I wanted to partially play around Blood Moon, so I decided it's better to go with the Forest and play the cow as a 4/4. Unfortunately, they had a Fury, but so it was okay. They got the MELIRA of the top of my library. They played the Fury of the top of my library, so they really only just played my cards. And now I'm tapped with the General Ferris Rokirik, and these cards are just not good enough to compete with my cards because my cards make every card I play make a free 4/4 token, and this deck, my opponent's deck, is just not doing stuff powerful enough to beat this. So I didn't have much job to do here. Just cast my Cascaders, get a bunch of these tokens, get a Territorial Kavu, get a Blood-Red Elf to attack immediately. Already have a Wren on the field. Okay, so pretty good. I was able to pressure my opponent with a lot of damage and keep a lot of blockers back. So really no way out for my opponent, definitely in this situation. That was it. Okay, so game 2. I never played against my opponent's deck, but I saw they're playing Raffine's Tower. So I boarded in some additional Bosages and I think one Cinderwise to be able to deal with the ley lines. But I didn't see the ley line, but kind of feels like they're definitely playing it. Because why would they play Raffine's Tower? Okay, so I was able to play Safi this turn. So Safi was able to. I hoped for them to play the Ragavan first, so I killed both of their creatures. But this is the thing I was talking about. They will often just waste removal on your Safi or MELIRA, and then you'll be able to scam your Solitude into play. Instant speed, which is very good. I could have played. I had multiple options here, but I decided to go with the General Ferris Rokiric. It felt as the best option, so start making the Golem tokens next turn. But unfortunately, my opponent had the perfect hand. Renin 6 to ping. Renin 6 to ping my Rokiric and Heat to kill my Solitude. It wasn't still over. It wasn't a good situation for me, but not over definitely. I'm on 7 life in this situation, and I have a Solitude and a Helix as additional way to gain life. But so I think at this point I was still favorable to win this. My opponent was smart enough not to attack with the Ragavan here. So I just played Solitude, exiled the Goif. They saw Solitude turn before, that's why they stayed back with it. And they unfortunately had a breach here. Breach not doing much, but still able to play the Heat to get the Surveil. It's not that bad. And I had the Helix next turn for to kill Ragavan, so I was still okay, gaining me life. This was playing this Misty Rainforest was really unnecessary. It was not important in the end, but it would be better just keeping this land in your hand at this point, maybe because I will be on 7 life and my opponent is able to get the Delirium. I don't know why they didn't get it here. It was again a mistake by my opponent. They could have just sacked the fetch and attack for 3. I find Blood-Braid Elf, very good draw. Get Territorial Cow, even better Cascade. But my opponent just kind of had everything this game. Everything they needed. They got the ending from the top. Obviously, Dragon Rage General helped a lot. So it was very important not to fetch here because I was on 4 life, and if I fetch, the bolt would be lethal. So I got my top decks were also not bad. I got the binding to get rid of this DRC, but my opponent's top decks were just better. They got the kill from the top, ran and bolt for lethal. So I had to take this to game 3. against Naya Breach opponent. Okay, so again, missing a red card to be able to scam Fury on turn 2 if necessary. Probably won't be ever doing this on turn 2, but when on the play, on the draw, it can happen a lot. You see here that I still don't have a lot of games with this deck, and that's why I just sometimes automatically click Extender Lounge here. But it's a very common mistake. You will, if you're used to another mana base, it's a mistake where some of you will also be doing, and it was just a huge mistake. I think you can see if I had the MELIRA on the field, MELIRA would now be attacking the Wren for 3 damage, and it would kill the Wren next turn, and but not being able by fetching wrong, not being able to cast MELIRA on turn 2. I kind of really screwed myself up. And I wasn't able to pressure this Wren, and Wren became a very big problem later in the game. So I got another MELIRA from the Shardless, which wasn't great, but still kind of a red card away from scamming Fury, so okay. I save a Shardless with MELIRA so they can ping it with Wren. And they play the Goyf, but Goyf was really small here. It wasn't a big threat, so I was able to prolong the game a bit longer until I find a red card, either red card or some more lands. I needed more lands in this situation. I got another Shardless into Cabo, which was fine. But just one bolt can make these Goyf a lot larger. And they did it, of course, but I got my red card at this point, and I was able to do the most powerful thing the deck can do right now in Modern, in Dagger matchup. Just scam the Fury, killed 2 of their creatures, and my opponent, I don't know what my opponent was thinking really, but I exiled the Shardless on attack, so Goyf became smaller, and they decided to trade with my Shardless agent. I don't know why, it was a misplay from my opponent, but that was it, that was the game. That was it, okay, that was match 3. Now we're off to match 4. Okay, I keep slower hand, but slower hand with Solitude is much better than slower hand without Solitude. I was on the play, which is a lot better. Obviously, so I was able to play the general before my opponent doing anything relevant, and when you do this in a lot of matchups, it's just very good, and you can see that a lot of these times I get either MELIRA or Safi from the Shardless agent, so with while having the Solitude in hand, and this is extremely powerful. So you have a card in your deck that when cast makes 2/4/4 golem tokens for 3 mana, and it's a 2 body by itself. And it's getting you a creature on the field that enables scamming of your elementals. So it's just incredible power level for a card. It's not just a scam, it's not just an undying spell like Black Red Scam plays. It's much more powerful than what they're doing. So you're able to get it off the Shardless agent, and it makes 4/4 tokens in the process, and then you can instant speed scam your Solitude into play, just like you saw in this situation, and beat your opponent trying to Solitude Ephemerate, which is one of the strongest plays in Modern for a long time to deal with the aggro matchups, but in this example, this deck just did it better. Okay, that was game 1. Game 2. Game 2, 2 cows are always good to see. 3 cows even better. Some opponent really they have to have good hand to be able to deal with 3 cows. They are not very. I have misclicked last turn, so I didn't fetch my Triumph. I was forced to play Sacred Foundry then, but it was okay. And I was forced to shock also, but they are not aggressive decks, so it doesn't matter that much. For that reason, I was forced to attack for 4 damage here, not 5, but it's okay. And again, the scam beats. Scam wins you a game. I play Safi. I play Kavu. Get another token. Attack with Kavu, loot. Get a white card into hand. My opponent tries to block with a detached creature, but I exile another creature, and their creature loses detach. And I scam it with Safi. Put Solid into play, kill all of their Icefang Kotls, and just have General Rokurik they can't beat, making Golem tokens every turn. Even if they have Solid to the Ephemerate, it's not enough. They still can beat the Rokurik. So that's it. Okay, that was match 4. Very quick wins. Melira and Safi scamming the elementals was so relevant in so many games. You saw, and the ability to do this.
Krivo parkiranje u Solinu. To je nek 40.
Okay, so match 5, playing against my favorite deck, my Nishoba list, but they were playing the list that are splashing 2 Tarmogoyfs. Okay, so I start with Territorial Kavu. Turn 2, very good play in the mirror. It's not really a mirror, but it's a zoo deck. This Cascade Zoo is always favorable to win. This matchup, it's one of the rare decks in that really has a very favorable matchup against classic Domain Zoo list. I decided to go for the Charlottes here, find a run, but they have the stub, and they had the remover for the Charlottes. Later to connect with Dragaon. Connecting with Dragaon wasn't that crucial here. I was just happy the Stripe of Flames didn't kill the Kavu, because they didn't have the full domain. I was very happy with my hand. Just I didn't feel like it's necessary to loot anything out of my hand. My hand was perfect. I was able to block the Ragavan with MELIRA, and then had 2 Furies to cast next turn. But when my opponent cast Biding, I decided it's best to go for the Boseiju. Immediately block this Ragavan before they get something dangerous from my deck. And I was able to cast this and still have the opportunity to either try to scam Fury in if needed, of course, and still have the I also had the Helix for. I just did this for fun. Still had the Helix. To my opponent immediately concedes. Of course, it is lethal anyway with the Fury. Sorry. This it was time for game 2. Of course, game 2 against Zoo. It's never easy to play when they're on the play. I had a pretty good hand, ability to scam a Fury on turn 2, which is very good play to do when played on the play. When played on the draw, sorry. Just Turn 2, Scam Fury can be incredibly powerful. I think I could have played things a bit differently here. They played the Brawler. They played the Brawler, and it was ideal situation for me to scam the Fury in, put it back into play with Safi, and now my opponent loses all their advantage they had. Loses all the advantage they had with Ragavan and Shoba. I saved a lot of these creatures. Aside a lot of damage going to my face, and I boarded in, I think, one force figure. It was a mistake to board it, but I boarded in because my opponent is playing 4 Sign of Dracos and 4 Leyline Bindings. And in my experience, force figure often would be decent. I have 4 force figures on my sideboard, so I thought probably I boarded in just a second Boseiju and 1 force figure. I thought it could be, it will definitely be useful. But the bigger problem wasn't the force figure really here in this situation. Problem was I didn't have the blue mana to cast my Shardless Agent. And that was the bigger problem here, definitely. So my opponent went for face, ignored the Wren, play another Goyf. I had another removal for Goyf, but kind of really missed the blue mana to play the Shardless. If I was able to play the Shardless, find something good, then get rid of this. Get rid of this, and a Cartel will be very, very good. Also, one Steam Vents would enable me to play the Fury. Yeah, but of course, my opponent playing the Tribal Flames, very good card in these kind of matchups. Especially playing against the 4-color Omnat decks, stuff like that. You get in 1-2 times with your Nakatals, Ragavans, whatever, and the Tribal Flames and Bolt really do a lot of job in that matchups, and it's what happened here. Unfortunately, Force was useless. Didn't have a 5th mana to cast the Fury. No fetch entire game. 14 lands, no fetch. This deck plays 13 fetches. So no fetch to use it with Ren. Not being able to cast my Charlottes and Fury definitely lost me the game. Not just a force being. Eventually they would play something I can force, but my not top decking the land I needed means I won't get to that stage of the game. But it was okay. I'm on the play in the last match, but it was not easy. I was forced to mulligan to 5. Kept a decent 5 though. I had the ability to scam the MELIRA, but obviously playing Territorial Caval is very good by itself. So I didn't want to go on that plan. I really just wanted to play my Caval, start hoping they don't kill it, so I can start doing the looting stuff. Still, I'm good if I obviously going to attack with. I was going to attack with Caval, but they had. I decided I can't let really this Ragavan connect. I just got to make them waste their turn by playing Bolt and nothing else. So I get a chance to play some more stuff. Have option to scam a Fury at any point if they don't. If they but I want to wait for them to play more creatures on the field at the same time. I really can't wait too much. I must play something. I must play something to be able to, if they can just deal 5 damage with Brawler, go and burn me to face with the rest of their spells. Okay, so they go for the fairy, and in a lot of these situations, it was not just once, but more of these times. My opponent would play Teferi plus the Teferi on 5, and on these occasions, I was able to play my MELIRA and scam the Fury. No matter of Teferi being on the field, Teferi wasn't able to interfere with my scam, because MELIRA is already on the field. It's not a spell, it's the ability. This was a hard match to win. I was already on 9 life, needed some good cards to be able to deal with my opponent's threats. Fortunately, had all good cards I needed. Another Fury in hand. Solitude Fury, just elementals killing their creatures. So every creature doing 1 for 2. Unfortunately, no Tribal Flames from my opponent at this game. It's a lot easier for me to deal with their creatures than it is to deal with their burn spells. Okay, so drawing Boseiju really sealed the game. At this point, I have MELIRA. MELIRA guarantees my Fury lives, so I can very quickly deal a huge amount of damage with the Fury, and at the same time have the Boseiju to kill the Leyline Binding, which is obviously very good. It's actually two turn clock with the binding with the Boseiju, and I just did the Boseiju thing, killed her in a Cuttle, and I have the lethal. If they try to kill my Fury, I can save it with MELIRA, so my opponent concedes. That's it. Okay, so beat my Nakatal Zoo Brew for the trophy once again with another Zoo deck, which feels very powerful. And as I will again say what I think is, I played a lot of Cascade Zoo and all kind of Zoo decks in the past, and this is the most powerful feeling I ever had playing Cascade Zoo. MELIRA Sophie scamming these elementals is just incredible at this moment. Very powerful thing to do with in a Zoo deck, and just Shardless and Bloodbraid Elves being able to grab you the MELIRAs and your scam parts while you holding Solitude in hand, the Furies in hand. It's just crazy good. You saw this in numerous occasions, just Shardless getting your MELIRA on the field while you have Solitude in hand is just crazy strong. It's not normal. And in a lot of these occasions, I already have Rokirik on the field. So getting 2 Golem tokens in the process, there's just no deck that can deal with this. It's incredible. And that's it. That's the video. I hope you liked this version. I had incredible fun playing this. And if you want to help the channel, click subscribe, click like, and that's it for this time. Okay, bye.